Ladies and gentlemen, you say you have dreams, big ones. You imagine a life so far beyond your current state that even your bones tingle when you think about it. But then you do nothing. You scroll, you delay, you plan, and you hope. And in the quiet spaces between those hopes, you wonder, why can't I start? Why am I like this? Let me offer you something that no motivational slogan can, the truth. If you're ambitious but lazy, you're not broken. You're misaligned. You are not unworthy. You are unstructured. And this difference changes everything. Most people misunderstand laziness. They call it a weakness. But true laziness is not the absence of will. It's the weight of misdirected energy. When your mind is cluttered with visions of greatness, but your body is anchored to stillness, it creates a spiritual friction. You burn out without even starting. So what should you do? You start with something you've ignored all your life. Ritual. Not grand gestures, not 5 a.m. miracles, but something so simple it almost seems insulting. Move. Stand up. Sit in stillness for 2 minutes. Feel the weight of your existence. And then ask, not what you should do, but what you're willing to do right now, in this very breath. Here's the truth that might haunt or heal you. You do not lack ambition. You lack rhythm. A lazy person with no ambition is asleep. A lazy person with ambition is simply untrained. The key is not to fight yourself. Don't declare war on your comfort. Instead, seduce your discipline. Make it gentle. Make it quiet. But never miss it. You build a life worth living, not by burning out in sprints, but by walking daily in alignment with a deeper vision. And here's why you must watch this speech to the end, because somewhere inside you know this isn't just about laziness. It's about why you keep betraying yourself. It's about why you have dreams that light you up, but actions that dim your light. By the time we're done here, you'll understand how to stop romanticizing the future and finally begin inhabiting the present. If you truly want to change, don't wait for a better mood. Don't wait for the ideal schedule. Do one honest thing right now, then repeat it tomorrow. That's the way. That's how you go from lazy ambition to quiet, unstoppable momentum. And that is how you finally become what you were always meant to be. Laziness isn't always failure. Sometimes it's misdirected energy. This idea might sound radical, even uncomfortable, because we've been taught to equate laziness with moral weakness. From childhood, society conditions us to believe that if you are not constantly moving, grinding, producing, then something is inherently wrong with you. You're labeled as unmotivated, undisciplined, or even a waste of potential. But what if that judgment is not only wrong, but deeply damaging? What if your so-called laziness is not a flaw, but a signal? Let us look closely. You dream of something big, a career, a craft, a calling. You feel the fire of ambition deep in your gut. You picture yourself thriving, succeeding, making an impact. And yet your reality doesn't match that vision. Hours pass, days pass, and you've barely moved. You feel guilt. You call yourself lazy, but beneath that label is a hidden truth. Your energy is not absent, it's simply unfocused. Misdirected energy is like a river that never finds its course. It floods your mind with possibilities, drowns your intentions in indecision, and erodes your confidence with every day you don't act. You're not lazy because you lack power. You're lazy because your power is scattered. You're not exhausted because you've done too much. You're exhausted because you've done nothing meaningful with all the mental energy you've been spending. You've been burning fuel, idling in place. This is where most ambitious people break. They mistake motion for progress and overthinking for preparation. They wait for the right conditions, more time, more clarity, a burst of motivation. But the truth is, conditions will never be perfect. The only thing you ever truly control is where your energy goes right now. Think about how often your mind runs wild with scenarios. You think about what could be. You daydream about success. You imagine all the ways your life could be different if you were just more disciplined, more focused, more on it. But all that energy stays trapped inside your head. None of it flows into real movement. That's not laziness. That's mismanagement. Your ambition, then, is not wrong. It's misused. It has no outlet, no clear path, no structure to breathe in. And like any living thing, denied its natural rhythm, it turns toxic. That toxicity is what you feel when you say, "I'm so lazy," but deep down, you know it's something else. It's inner chaos. How do you realign? You begin by recognizing that ambition must be paired with direction. Not grand plans, not impossible goals, but a simple commitment to channel energy into motion. That could mean 5 minutes of focused effort. It could mean sitting still with your thoughts and journaling instead of scrolling. It could mean taking one breath, one decision, one action that brings the inside and outside of you into harmony. Your laziness becomes a teacher when you listen to it. It tells you what isn't working. It points to where your life is disjointed. It reveals that you may be chasing a version of success that isn't even your own, or that you've been trying to leap 10 steps ahead instead of starting with step 1. Start small. Redirect your energy instead of suppressing it. Instead of shaming yourself for not doing more, ask where your energy is leaking. Who or what is draining it? What thoughts are spinning on loop with no resolution? You are not powerless, you are misaligned. The power you seek is already within you, but it's buried under guilt, distraction, and perfectionism. Your job is not to become someone else. It's to clear the path so that your natural momentum can return. Because once your energy finds its rightful direction, what once looked like laziness will become quiet discipline, consistency, movement. Water, when it has no direction, becomes a flood. But when guided, it generates life, power, and transformation. Stop calling yourself lazy. Start listening. Your ambition is not a fantasy. It's a message. And if you honor it with structure, presence, and intentional energy, it will no longer haunt you. It will move you. And finally, you'll stop dreaming the absolute, complete bleeding and flow of nature, honor and freedom, but then elite and freedom. Bought? Never. Ambition without clarity leads to paralysis, not progress. It's easy to be ambitious. It's easy to dream, to want, to desire a life that's bigger, freer, more powerful than the one you currently inhabit. But ambition without a clear direction becomes a curse. It torments you with visions of potential, but offers no map. It becomes a loop, a cycle of emotional highs and existential crashes. You feel the urgency to do something great, but the moment you try to act, you're lost. You don't know where to begin, and because of that, you don't begin at all. This is not laziness. This is paralysis. a state where your energy is locked in a mental fog. You feel the weight of all your dreams, but instead of moving you forward, they hold you down. You become trapped by your own vision. Clarity is what gives ambition legs. Without it, your mind becomes a battlefield. One part of you says, go, become more, while another whispers, but how, where, what's the first step? That tension between desire and confusion creates inner chaos. And when the chaos becomes too much, you shut down. You retreat into comfort, into scrolling, into sleep. Not because you don't care, but because you're overwhelmed by your own potential. Many people live their lives this way, fueled by ambition, but stalled by vagueness. They have no problem imagining themselves rich, powerful, influential, or deeply fulfilled, but they can't tell you what they're willing to do today to move toward that vision. They don't know what matters most. And so, they stay stuck, not from a lack of energy, but from a lack of direction. Think of a rocket. It has immense fuel, ambition. But if its coordinates are off, it either explodes or drifts endlessly into space. That's what unclarified ambition does. It sends you spinning. You try this one day, that the next. You jump from idea to idea, job to job, goal to goal, hoping one of them will feel right. But nothing sticks, because clarity hasn't been established. You haven't decided what truly matters to you. Clarity isn't given, it's created through silence, reflection, and deliberate questioning. You must ask, what do I actually want? Not what society wants for me, not what looks good on social media, but what resonates with my inner being. What makes me feel awake, not just excited, but meaningful. And then, what am I willing to struggle for? What pain am I willing to face to make this real? Without these answers, your ambition will torment you. It will show you the mountain, but give you no trail. And so you'll stand at the base, staring, year after year, calling yourself lazy, when in truth, you are just confused. When clarity comes, it doesn't shout, it whispers. It's a quiet knowing, a narrowing down, a decision to stop chasing everything and start building one thing. And when you have that clarity, suddenly your energy has direction. Your steps become lighter. You stop needing motivation every day because you've created momentum. And momentum, not motivation, is what carries you through the hard seasons. Most people try to act before they understand. They copy what others are doing. They chase shadows. But action without clarity is noise. It's movement without music. It tires you out and leaves you no closer to where you want to be. If you're ambitious but stuck, pause. Don't try to fix your laziness. Fix your vision. Don't try to work harder. Think clearer. Get specific. Get personal. Cut through the noise of shoulds and find your must. Because when your ambition aligns with clarity, even the smallest action becomes powerful. You don't need to do everything. You only need to do the next right thing. One clear step, done with presence, is worth more than 1,000 frantic efforts. Clarity is the compass. Ambition is the fuel. Without one, the other leads nowhere. But together, they carry you toward a life not only imagined, but lived. Discipline is not punishment, it's alignment with your purpose. We've been conditioned to associate discipline with restriction. It brings to mind rigid routines, forced effort, joyless repetition. In childhood, discipline came as correction. As adults, we carry that same emotional weight, thinking discipline is something unpleasant we must endure to become successful. But this belief misses the truth entirely. Discipline, in its purest form, is not about suffering. It's about returning to what matters, returning to the direction your soul is quietly pulling you toward, even when the world tries to distract you. You see, most people want transformation without consistency. They want results without routine. They wait for the spark of motivation to light them up and carry them forward. But motivation is like firewood. It burns bright, but it fades quickly. Discipline is the flame that remains long after motivation dies out. And here's the truth. It only becomes painful when you're doing things that don't align with who you truly are. Real discipline is not about forcing yourself to be someone else. It's about structuring your life in a way that allows who you are to emerge with power and clarity. It's choosing again and again to say yes to your purpose. Especially when it's hard, especially when it's not convenient. Think of an artist. She doesn't show up to her studio every day because it's always thrilling. She shows up because her work matters to her. Her routine is not a prison. It's a vessel for her creativity. The same applies to you. Whatever your ambition, whether it's building a business, sculpting your body, writing your truth, or finding peace, you cannot wait for the perfect mood. You must create the rhythm through repetition. That rhythm is discipline. And the beauty is, when you choose discipline consciously, not out of guilt, but out of alignment, it begins to feel less like a burden and more like a blessing. You realize that structure doesn't trap you. It frees you. It removes decision fatigue. It silences the inner debate between action and avoidance. You wake up and you know what to do, not because someone told you, but because you've already chosen it. Laziness often disguises itself as freedom. It tells you, don't worry about it now, you can do it later. But that freedom is false. It leads to chaos, regret, and self-loathing. True freedom comes from discipline because it builds confidence. You begin to trust yourself. You say you'll do something and you do it. Not once, not occasionally, but repeatedly. And each repetition lays a brick in the foundation of your transformation. When you treat discipline as punishment, when you treat discipline as a sacred commitment to the person you are becoming, you don't need to start with intensity. Start with integrity. If you say you'll show up for 10 minutes a day, do it. And do it not to prove something to the world, but to prove something to yourself, that you can live in alignment with what you say matters most. This is the deeper meaning of discipline. It's not about grinding yourself down. It's about sculpting yourself into who you were meant to be. It's a quiet, persistent refusal to betray your potential. And it doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for presence, for willingness, for repetition. The moments you feel like quitting are not signs of weakness. They are invitations. Invitations to recommit, to realign, to remember why you began. When you begin to walk that path with consistency, something shifts. Your identity changes. You're no longer someone who wants to be disciplined. You become someone who is. Someone who lives in rhythm with their purpose. Someone who knows that each small act of discipline is not a burden, but a step toward the life they were born to live. So no, discipline is not punishment. It's the bridge between your ambition and your actual life. And each time you cross it, you become more whole, more real, more powerful. Start small, but with deep awareness, your momentum begins here. We are seduced by the idea of massive change, the all-or-nothing mindset, the overnight success, the dramatic transformation that begins on a Monday and ends with a new life. But the truth, quiet, often ignored, is that true change begins in silence, in the smallest decisions, the subtle shifts, the tiniest commitments, done with full awareness. You don't need to climb the entire mountain today. You don't even need to see the summit. What you need is to take one honest, intentional step and know why you're taking it. And most people fail to grow not because they're incapable, but because they underestimate the power of starting small. They look at their big dream, a business, a fit body, a peaceful mind, and then look at where they are now and feel crushed by the gap. They believe that unless they can leap across the entire canyon in one go, it's not worth starting. And so they stay where they are, immobile, overwhelmed, and stuck, in the illusion that transformation must be grand to be meaningful. But here's the secret. Small actions become powerful when infused with deep awareness. When you do something simple, like sitting down for 5 focused minutes to work on your craft, or choosing water over sugar, or saying no to one distraction, and you do it consciously, you begin to shift who you are. You rewire the way you respond to the world. You no longer act from impulse. You act from intention. This is the birth of momentum. People think momentum comes from speed, from intensity, from doing a lot all at once. But real momentum, the kind that sustains you through resistance and boredom, comes from doing one meaningful thing consistently. Momentum doesn't start with force. It starts with alignment, with stillness, with clarity, with a single act that whispers, I am no longer waiting to become the person I want to be. I am becoming them now, in this moment, with this step. You might think small is weak, that it's too slow. But slowness is not failure. It's wisdom. Anything rushed is unstable. Anything forced is unsustainable. Starting small allows you to integrate change, to make it part of your nervous system, not just your to-do list. And what matters even more than the action is the attention you give it. When you brush your teeth while thinking about something else, it's a habit. When you sit down and breathe for 2 minutes while truly feeling your breath, it becomes a practice. The difference is awareness. Awareness is the multiplier of all effort. When you bring presence into small acts, they stop being chores and become rituals. They become anchors. They tell your subconscious, this matters. I'm not doing this to check a box. I'm doing this because this is who I am. And that's the real secret to momentum. It's not about doing more. It's about becoming more present with what you're already doing. When you show up fully, even to something small, you train your mind to stay awake. You begin to trust yourself. You stop relying on external motivation and instead build internal strength. Whatever it is you're avoiding, whatever goal feels too big, too far, too complex, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, what is the smallest step I can take today on purpose? Then take it with full presence, with deep attention. Don't do it perfectly. Don't do it impressively. Just do it honestly. You'll feel something shift. You'll feel a thread connecting you from who you are now to who you're becoming. And when you do that tomorrow and the next day, the thread becomes a rope, a lifeline, a bridge, one that carries you from inaction to flow, from resistance to rhythm, from the dream to the doing. Start small, stay aware, because it's not the size of the action that matters, it's the truth inside it. One honest step, repeated with presence, will build more momentum than 1,000 hollow attempts driven by ego and urgency. That is where your power begins, not in doing everything, but in doing something with all of you in it. Comfort is seductive, but it quietly robs you of your potential. It doesn't come like a storm. It doesn't shout or make a mess. It comes gently, in soft whispers and easy choices. The extra hour of sleep, the skipped workout, the harmless distraction that turns into an entire day lost. Comfort makes no demands. It doesn't challenge you. It doesn't ask you to become more. And that's why it's dangerous. The problem with comfort isn't that it exists. It's that it becomes your cage, slowly, silently. And while it may not look like one, it functions exactly like a prison. You feel safe, but you're not growing. You feel satisfied, but you're deeply unfulfilled. You're existing, not evolving. And in time, the very thing that once felt soothing begins to suffocate you. Comfort is not evil, but it is deceitful. It disguises itself as self-care, as rest, as taking it easy. And while those things have their place, the danger is when you begin to live there, when your entire life becomes a series of comfortable decisions that protect you from discomfort, but also prevent you from transformation. And transformation is never comfortable. You must understand this deeply. Every version of you that you dream of becoming exists on the other side of discomfort. The disciplined version, the confident one, the successful one, the peaceful, focused, awakened version of you. None of those identities are born in comfort. They are forged in challenge, in resistance, in moments where you want to turn back but choose not to. Comfort wants you to believe that growth can happen without tension, that you can evolve while staying warm, entertained, and safe. But look at nature. A seed must break to become a tree. A butterfly must fight to escape the cocoon. Even your muscles, when trained, must tear before they grow stronger. Growth is not gentle. It requires friction. We avoid that friction. We choose what's easy over what's necessary. We settle for routines that numb instead of sharpen. We distract ourselves into stagnation and then wonder why we feel empty. You may think you're lazy or lacking willpower, but often you're simply addicted to comfort. You've built your life around minimizing effort, maximizing pleasure, and avoiding pain. But here's the truth. Anything worth having, freedom, strength, purpose, mastery, comes after pain, not before it. Discomfort isn't your enemy. It's your guide. It shows you where the work is. It reveals the gap between your current self and your potential. And every time you step into that discomfort, you take a step toward your higher self. The question is, how much discomfort are you willing to face? Not for punishment, not for perfection, but for growth. Are you willing to feel awkward while learning a new skill? Are you willing to be misunderstood while standing in your truth? Are you willing to wake up early, stay focused, skip the distraction, and walk a path that's not popular but true? Because the path to your potential is paved with discomfort. And each time you choose it, you chip away at the false comfort that's been keeping you small. You begin to rewire your relationship with discomfort. It stops feeling like suffering and starts feeling like liberation. You stop craving ease and start craving depth. You become willing to be uncomfortable, not because you enjoy it, but because you value who it makes you. Comfort will always be there, inviting you back. But you have to learn to say no, to resist the urge to stay small, to stop mistaking ease for happiness. You were not made to live a soft, idle life. You were made to stretch, to struggle, to create, to conquer something difficult. Not because life demands it, but because your soul craves it. So let go of the illusion that comfort will bring you peace. It might give you momentary relief, but only discomfort delivers real transformation. And once you learn to embrace that truth, you'll stop fearing the pain of growth and start fearing the quiet death of comfort. Laziness is rarely a lack of energy. It's often a symptom of misalignment. We tend to blame ourselves when we don't act. We call ourselves lazy, unmotivated, weak. But this labeling oversimplifies what's actually happening beneath the surface. Most people who struggle with laziness are not incapable or uninterested in growth. They're simply trying to force themselves down paths that don't resonate with their deeper truth. When your actions are disconnected from your inner values, your body resists. Your spirit resists. You feel tired, foggy, apathetic, not because you're broken, but because part of you knows you're walking in the wrong direction. Laziness, then, becomes a signal not of failure, but of misalignment. This is why people can spend hours fully engaged in something they love, building, writing, exploring, even problem-solving, without feeling exhausted, but ask them to do something that feels hollow, meaningless, or imposed from outside expectations, and suddenly they can't move. They scroll, they delay, they feel heavy and dull. And yet, they blame their willpower instead of investigating the deeper cause. It's not that you're lazy. It's that something inside you is rebelling against the life you're trying to live. Modern society rewards performance over presence. It tells you to chase productivity, efficiency, and success, even if it's killing your soul in the process. You're praised for showing up, no matter how numb you feel. But this constant pressure to perform leads to burnout, not fulfillment. Your inner world starts to dry up. You become a machine, going through motions that no longer carry meaning. And your body, wise in its own quiet way, starts shutting you down. Not to punish you, but to protect you from continuing a life that doesn't belong to you. That is why misalignment shows up as fatigue. It's not just physical. It's emotional and spiritual. You're exhausted from pretending. You're worn out from trying to care about things you don't. You're drained because the person you're becoming is not the person you truly are. The cure isn't to push harder. The cure is to realign. You must pause and ask, is this path really mine, or is it a projection of someone else's desire for me? Is this goal aligned with who I want to become, or is it something I'm chasing, just to be seen, approved, validated? When your goals are truly yours, when they arise from a place of inner stillness and authentic desire, you will still feel resistance, yes, but it will be different. It will be the resistance of effort, not emptiness. You'll be tired but satisfied. You'll be challenged but alive. You'll no longer have to constantly motivate yourself, because your actions will be rooted in meaning. Misalignment isn't always obvious. Sometimes it disguises itself as a noble pursuit. You may convince yourself that you should want a certain career, body, lifestyle. But should is not a guide. It's a prison. It traps you in stories that don't reflect your truth, and eventually your soul rebels. That rebellion often looks like laziness, but it's not a flaw, it's a message. As instead of judging yourself for not doing more, start listening more closely. What lights you up? What makes time disappear? What activities leave you feeling nourished rather than depleted? Follow the energy. It won't always lead to comfort, but it will lead to truth. And when you begin to build your life around what resonates with your core, not with the image you think you need to project, you'll find that your so-called laziness begins to dissolve, not because you've become more disciplined, but because you've become more aligned. This is the inner shift that turns apathy into purpose, that transforms heaviness into momentum, that reawakens the desire to move, to build, to show up. Not because you have to, but because something deep within you wants to. You don't need to force yourself into action. You need to align your actions with what actually matters to you. And once you do, you'll see laziness was never your enemy. It was your compass, pointing all along toward the life you were meant to live. Waiting for perfect conditions is the fastest way to kill your ambition. There's this lie we've all been told, that one day the stars will align, that clarity will strike like lightning, that energy will surge through our veins, that the noise will quiet down, and the path will glow under our feet. And then, and only then, we will act. We will finally begin. But that day doesn't come. Not because you're unlucky or unworthy, but because perfection is an illusion. It's a comfortable fantasy that keeps you from confronting the discomfort of starting now. The truth is, life will never hand you the perfect moment. It will only offer you this moment, the imperfect, inconvenient, messy one you're standing in right now. Ambitious people often have vision. They dream of doing something great, of becoming someone better. But many of them wait paralyzed, not by a lack of desire, but by the belief that they must feel ready before they take action. Readiness, they think, is a feeling, but it's not. Readiness is a decision, waiting for the right mood, the right resources, the right support. These are all ways the mind delays change. It's not because you're lazy, it's because you're afraid. Starting means risking failure. It means confronting your limits. It means stepping into unknown territory where you can't control the outcome. So the mind says, not yet, tomorrow, later. But later is a graveyard for dreams. If you keep postponing your beginning, you're not preserving your potential. You're burying it. Each day you wait for the storm to pass, the fire inside you dims, until one day your ambition becomes a memory, a could have been, a haunting echo of the version of you that never got a chance to live. The people who rise, who create, who transform, do not wait for ideal conditions. They act within the chaos. They move through the fog. They begin before they believe they're fully prepared, because they know that action births clarity, not the other way around. You don't learn who you are by standing still. You learn by moving, by trying, by falling, by readjusting as you go. Perfection isn't a prerequisite. It's a process. It's something you arrive at through repetition, through failure, through discomfort. It's never the starting point. It's the result of starting. Think of a sculptor. He doesn't wait until he sees the perfect statue in his mind before picking up the chisel. He begins with a block of stone. He strikes. He shapes. He removes what doesn't belong. Slowly, through process, the vision becomes visible. so too with your life. You must strike now, chisel now, begin carving, starting when it's messy, when you're unsure, when you feel resistance. That's what builds momentum. And momentum is what carries you past the doubt. But if you're waiting for the resistance to vanish before you move, you'll be waiting forever. The resistance isn't a stop sign, it's a signal. It means you're at the edge of something real. Nothing meaningful ever starts in comfort. It starts in tension. And yet people wait for the absence of tension as proof they're ready. But readiness comes from stepping forward anyway, from showing yourself that fear is not the master of your decisions. Stop waiting for motivation to strike like lightning. Instead, become the spark. Create friction. Move your body. Sit down to work. Make the call. Write the first line. Do something, anything, that breaks inertia. Because once you begin, something shifts. Energy gathers. Focus returns. The fog lifts, not all at once, but enough to see the next step. Perfection is not the gatekeeper. Courage is. And courage doesn't demand that you feel no fear. It demands that you move despite it. You'll never control every variable. The timing will never be flawless. Your plan will never be airtight. But that's okay. You don't need perfect conditions. You need a willing heart and a consistent step. Stop romanticizing the future and start honoring the present. This moment, unpolished and unready as it feels, is your invitation. It may not look like the beginning you imagined, but it holds everything you need to begin. Say yes to it now. The truth is simple, yet most spend their lives avoiding it. Your life will not change because you wish it to. It will change the moment you act, especially when you don't feel ready. If you are ambitious but lazy, understand that laziness isn't your enemy. It's a messenger. It's telling you that something is misaligned, something is unexpressed, something inside you is still waiting to be understood. You don't need more motivation. You don't need to feel perfectly inspired. You need to begin, messy, slow, uncertain, but awake. Start small, but start with presence. Create friction. Embrace discomfort. Lean into what feels hard, because that's where the growth begins. No one is coming to rescue your potential. No one will hand you discipline or clarity. These things are born through the courage to show up, not once, but every day. Not because it's easy, but because your soul knows it must. So stop delaying. Stop bargaining with fear. The path is already beneath your feet. You don't need to run. You only need to take one honest step, and then another, and then another. In time, those steps become momentum. That momentum becomes power, and that power becomes the quiet, unstoppable force that transforms your life. Now is always the moment, and you are the only one who can begin.